episode of Shuffle Podcast. This is your host, Brett McKinney. I am very excited to welcome to today's show. She's a comedian. This is a new relationship for both of us, so we're really going to dive into it, learn a lot about one another. Welcome to the Shuffle Studios, Becky Braunstein. Becky, come on down. The people love you, Becky.
Do they?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Wow.
they do. This might be news to you, but you are a big hit with the Shuffle Studios crowd.
What? Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Becky, you are a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
A true Jill of all trades.
Sure.
all
Many
I
trades.
all I know is
Probably
stand-up comedian.
Too many trades.
What we want to do is we want to go back.
Okay.
We want to go back to the beginning.
Ooh.
Your Twitter handle is
Becky from Alaska.
Becky from Alaska.
Yes, it is.
So I can only assume that you are from probably the Oklahoma area.
Oh, Oklahoma. Yeah, no, I've been to Oklahoma.
Lovely place.
Sure.
I've never been. You're from Alaska.
I am from Alaska, yes.
Where in Alaska are you from?
Just outside of Anchorage, a very small town called Eagle River.
Okay.
Grew up on a mountain. Real small town.
A lot of people from Eagle River here today in the audience.
Shut up.
A lot of fans. Okay, so you grew up in the small town.
I did.
I've never been to Alaska, and I think my kind of image of it is it's constantly snowing. You are usually like in the dark, right? Because it's
In the winter.
In the winter.
Yeah, constantly snowing, darkness.
Mm-hmm.
Totally the winter there, yes.
Yes. Everything is like a general store with like log cabin style places. Is it am I kind of getting
You know
it?
what? I want to say that's absolutely wrong. We're a metropolitan, sprawling, cosmopolitan city, but it's really not. No, that's actually fairly accurate.
Alaska seems there's a few places that I'm like, why would someone settle there? What took your family there?
We moved around a little bit. Like my family's originally from New York, and we lived like my dad was kind of in the oil industry, so we lived in like I was born in Texas, believe it or not, and then we lived in South Dakota on a farm for a while, and then he got a job in Alaska, and just kind of they went on the wild adventure to go. I don't know. They like squirreling themselves away. My parents got a house up on a mountain, and like, man, you don't live in Alaska on a mountain to be social butterflies. So.
Yeah. So, did you grow up like how many kids went to your school? Was it a small community?
You know, it is, but there was only one school, so like everybody went there. So it was actually overcrowded when I went to school.
Oh, okay.
River, but yeah, I mean, you knew everybody in town. There's like chances are, if I run into someone else from Eagle River, Alaska, we will know each other.
You will have
somehow.
known one another. Yeah. What kind of kid were you? You're a stand-up comedian now, and so I assume precocious, but maybe the complete opposite.
Precocious. Yes, I was precocious.
Yeah.
I did not have a lot of friends as a kid.
Okay.
It wasn't a great time for me.
Well, it was limiting in Eagle Rock, I assume.
You know what? I moved to Alaska when I was 10 years old.
Oh, okay.
Before that, I lived in South Dakota on the farm, and that was... Yikes, man. That was like middle of nowhere. That was even like more remote, I think, than
really
my experience in Alaska. And that sucked, man. I don't know, like, but I wasn't like a funny, outgoing kid. You know what I mean? Like that didn't happen until, late, well into high school, teenage years. I mean, I was just very smart. I was like, was in the gifted program.
Ooh,
like,
talented and gifted?
I mean, yeah. So
I mean, don't be so modest. I could tell when you walked in, gifted. That was the first word that came to mind. This woman is gifted.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. And so siblings, or is it just you and the parentals?
I do have a brother.
Okay.
He's 16 months older than me, something like that.
Okay. What's his name?
His name is Brian.
Shout out Brian.
Hi,
Brian
Brian.
Braunstein. Will Brian listen to this show?
No, not a chance.
Is Brian not supportive of...
Oh, he is. Yeah, he is. It's just he's got better things to do. Like, he's got a
better
grown-up job
things
and, like,
to do?
Like, he's an adult. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like, he's for sure, like, a person, and I'm, like, a child still.
Oh, no. How old are you? Can I ask?
I am 32.
32. Okay, so you are technically an adult, but I
mean,
understand what you mean by the barely adulting idea.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
So you and Brian are growing up together.
mm-hmm.
in the dark, in the snow.
Yeah.
Is he your best friend? Or, I mean, I feel like you would have to really connect with someone up there.
I mean, yeah, we've always been very close. I would say that, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like, when I was a teenager, I was sort of a shithead and wanted to go out on my own and do my own thing. And, like, I was way too cool to hang out with my brother. But, like, no, we've always been friends, you know? Like, we used to just laugh. And, like, we'd listen to comedy together.
Oh, do you think that's where it started?
Maybe. I don't know. None of the people we listen to have influenced me at all, so maybe not.
Okay. So then in your teenage years, you obviously had people to hang out with because poor Brian was left alone at home.
No, he had friends. He had friends.
Sure.
Like,
Okay, got it.
I mean, it's a non-issue.
I'm trying to like dig up old family drama.
Oh my God, Dr. Phil right now.
So actually, Brian is here, and how fun would that be?
Oh my God, that'd be so weird.
Would it?
Like, how did you find him? And like, why would he come here from Alaska? Like, oh my God.
Is he still in Alaska?
He is. Yeah.
Is he in your hometown?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a real trip if I got him here, huh?
Weird.
But definitely a special episode of Shuffle Podcast.
Yeah. I mean, sure.
The family reunion show.
Oh my God, that's a good idea. You should like ambush somebody with their crazy family. Like,
yeah, this is like a small space
that's
to do
true.
that, don't you? And where would they hide?
Yeah. I mean,
just like on the other side of the couch.
Kick the windows in from the balcony.
Right.
Yeah.
Is he? What is life like for Brian in Alaska right now?
I mean, I don't like. He has a good job,
mm-hmm.
and he lives on the same mountain that we grew up on.
Same
but
home.
He has his own house now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, he plays baseball and he coaches a team, and
mm-hmm.
like, you know, like he's just sort of a chill dude.
Got it.
He's like doing everything right, you know.
Yeah.
He's got the good job. He's got the house. Killing it.
And so then let's talk about you.
Yeah, contrast.
No, I don't think so. Look at this, Becky. You are on a hit podcast with 20 listeners.
Oh my God!
And I think, that this is it literally could only go up from here.
Truly, my life is on an upward trajectory at this very moment.
So you moved to Portland straight from Alaska?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you told me before we started recording about 6 years ago?
Yeah, 2010.
What prompted the move? And like, were you doing comedy there and wanted to do it here? Was this a brand new thing once you moved to Portland?
Well, I've been, acting and doing like improv and sketch comedy for a real long time, like, 16 years or something like that now. And in Alaska, when I lived there was no stand-up comedy yet.
Mm-hmm.
All there was improv, and I was in the improv troupe, and like we did very well. I mean, we sold out every show. It was very well attended. It was awesome, but I didn't even know that stand-up was like an option.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's what I did, and I definitely wanted to kind of make a move and like move to America and pursue my career in entertainment, which really just there were no opportunities in Alaska for that at the time.
Yeah.
Also, this is going to get heavy for a second.
Please.
I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer in 2010, and I had surgery and radiation, and I did that in Alaska,
mm-hmm.
sadly.
Oh, okay.
And so it became sort of time to like move down to where I could get better.
Oh, okay.
But also pursue my, raging career in the entertainment industry.
Exactly.
To the top.
And so, why Portland?
Picked it at random.
Yeah?
Yeah, we were thinking about, we got to move. We're moving to America. Where are we going to go? California, Seattle. We thought about Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
I was just, I don't know. I remember I was sitting in the car and I said, what about Portland? And I just like looked it up and was like, that seems like, a good place to go. Because, like, people in Alaska, if they need, like, medical treatment, will go to
mm-hmm.
either, like, Seattle or Portland or,
okay.
closer in that.
Just one of the first stops when you're making your way around the loop there.
Yeah, that might be what put it in my mind, but I definitely was thinking in terms of my, comedy career, what would be a good step. And I think I chose well because the comedy scene here is great.
The comedy scene, it does seem like there is a scene.
There is.
And it seems like there's a, like, Portland to L.A. and back sort of trajectory.
Yeah.
So you've been here for 6 years.
I have.
So we got to get you your own sitcom now. I feel like it's time.
Sure.
We got to get you down to L.A. We got to get you in Burbank. We got to get you a studio audience.
I'm packed. I'm ready to go.
Are you?
Totally. I would go now if you know, like Judd Apatow calls me up, says, "Hey Becky, you know, come down to LA, you know, I'm just gonna produce your show. Like, get in the car right now." I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, Judd, I'm on my way."
Well, does Judd have your phone number?
He should. Judd, if you're listening,
he's not
look me
listening.
up.
But describe for us the Becky Braunstein Comedy Hour.
The Becky Braunstein Comedy Hour.
I feel like
God,
there's not a whole lot of space for variety shows, though.
You know, I've been a part of a few variety shows lately. I mean, like live shows in town that I think have just been awesome. Like that actually really appeals to me. I would totally get involved with a variety show.
That
like
format.
I do so many different things. It seems inevitable, you know.
Do you audition for a lot of things?
Not anymore.
No.
When I was acting, that was like all I did.
What do you have any like good audition stories?
Yeah, I do actually. This is super embarrassing.
Well, you've come to the right place, and I want I want you to continue.
Well, when I was in college, I was approximately 18, 19 years old, something like that. And the Broadway show Hairspray was a big hit at the time.
Okay.
And they were holding an open call audition in New York City for the touring show of that show. And they were casting all roles, including the lead role, Tracy Turnblad, who happened to be a spunky, chubby girl with bangs. And I thought, well, shit, you know, why not go to New York and go to this crazy cattle call audition with 50,000 other people and stand in line forever? And I can't really sing. Like, I can sing, but not, like, professionally. You know? And I was very ill-prepared. And I went and I waited in line for like 3 hours. Like my dad went with me. It was this whole thing. And like we saw New York and everything, which was cool. But like I finally got in there and I auditioned for this person in a tiny little room. And I got to sing, you know, like 5 seconds of my song. And they were just like, "Thank you."
Oh.
And I was just like, okay, you know. And then she was like, "You didn't come all the way here for just this, did you?" I was like, "No, totally."
Oh no.
Why would I do that? So yeah. And then like if you made it past that round, you got to go into like the serious audition for like this very actually quite famous Broadway casting director named Bernie Telsey. And Bernie, if you're listening, so I noticed that you could just kind of sneak in to that little line to get in that room. So I sneaked in.
Good for you.
Yeah, I totally did. I did not even have sheet music or anything. I was just singing a cappella. It was real bad. I went in there and like all these people were looking at me, and Bernie himself was like, "Go ahead," you know, like. And I started singing, and everyone was looking around like, "What is this shit?" You know? And yeah, like I got done. They didn't interrupt me, so I was like, "Yeah, I'm killing it." And then they were just like, "Okay." They just sat in silence and looked around, and I just moonwalked backwards out of the room in silence, shut the door real quietly. That was the end of my Broadway career.
Wow. I am so happy for you that you snuck into that line.
YOLO, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You did go all the way there to audition.
Absolutely. Spent so much money.
So I'm really happy for you.
Thank you.
I guess the better ending would have been you getting the role.
No.
Okay.
Not even close. But I mean, I bet it was so bad he might remember this even, I think.
Do you think that like the woman I'm just picturing like this like kind of Anna Wintour style casting director, it might be like just some old guy, but whoever you saw first that was supposed to be the gatekeeper, do you think that they came out and they were like, "What did you send us?" And
no, because I was one of just like several thousand other random weirdos who went in there, and they were just crossing us off one by one, you know.
Got it.
So that when I got into the the callback room, they were expecting a certain. I'm like, I heard the people in there before me were just like belting it out. And they were like, yeah, like the person in front of me got offered free tickets to go see the show, and they were real excited. And they were like, "Oh yeah, she's great." And I went in there like, "Yeah, this is my chance. I'm gonna get the free tickets." You know what I mean? Like, no, man. Oh, I was real bad. I was so bad.
So you're not a professional singer.
No.
But you fancy yourself an actress.
I'm absolutely an actor.
Comedic, serious.
Only comedic.
Yeah. Okay.
I have attempted dramatic acting, and it usually ends up being funny. I was never able to master it.
Okay. Got it. And so Hairspray, short-lived Broadway Broadway career. Where did you go to? Can I ask where you went to college?
Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Why, I have no idea, but it was real weird. Savannah is much weirder than Portland, by the way.
Yeah. Portland's not that weird.
It's really not.
I don't know where this, like, keep Portland. Yeah, there's a few, like, weirdos walking around and, like, but other than that, it's, like, it's pretty normal.
Yeah.
But, so, Savannah, was it an arts college?
It was not, but the only school in town that anyone has ever heard of is an arts college.
Yeah.
Which is called SCAD, and I did not go to SCAD.
Yes, yeah.
I went to a tiny little school that no one's ever heard of, but I had just a wild time, man. Did a lot of stuff.
Ooh. Anything crazy?
I studied abroad in Europe.
Okay.
I went to an acting school in Dublin, which is coincidentally the same school that Liam Neeson went to.
Oh, classmate?
And Colin Farrell. So,
okay.
For one term. And I also went to an international student conference in Trondheim, Norway. I kind of just went a little bit insane in Europe. I ran out of money, jumped out of a cab at like 3 a.m. in the worst part of London, missed my flight home. Just a series of unfortunate and costly events because I didn't really know the value of $1 and or euro and or pound. And,
yeah. You sound like you
regret nothing.
Yeah, no, you sound like you were a little bit of a mess, but you wouldn't have these stories to.
Huge mess. Yeah, no, it was. Yeah.
Yeah. What's kind of funny is that when you said you had a good time and your like eyes went wide like that, and the next thing you follow that up with is, I went to an international conference and I studied abroad. That's not where my mind went when you were like, I had a good time.
I mean, I had that time.
That
you're
time
as well, concurrently with the acceptable reasons for going over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take us back, Becky Braunstein, college freshman.
Take us back. I feel like I'm doing hypnosis. Well,
are you relaxed?
I am very relaxed. It all started in 2001 because I'm 100 years old. And yeah, college freshman. Wow. I moved to Savannah to go to school and it was so hot and I was coming straight from Alaska. I was not prepared for that. My little dorm room did not have air conditioning, and the windows barely opened. And we had like this little mini fridge. So what I did is I just laid down and put my head in the fridge. And then my new roommates came in and were like, "Oh, hey."
Oh.
And they were all from other countries. Like they put me in the international student program.
Okay.
Because,
there could be pros and cons to that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only cons really were that several of them were from kind of tropical climates and were real excited about the heat. And we had differences over the temperature control in the room. But they taught me so much. Like I learned about other cultures and like all of my friends were like from other countries. So it was just this amazing multicultural experience. I learned so much, so many different swear words. Just like the most amazing time. It was so valuable. I'm so glad that they put me in the international student program.
Yeah.
Thank God that, they weren't aware that Alaska is a state down there.
And did they put you in there because they thought Alaska was...
God only knows. I think they kind of just looked at it and said, well, close enough,
Okay.
I'm real glad they did. Like, man, it was a very valuable experience.
Either during your freshman year of college or otherwise, have you ever had a bad roommate situation?
I think I was the bad roommate.
Were you?
Yeah. I'm a huge mess. I'm a little gross.
Okay.
I was more gross then, I think.
How? Okay, you don't strike me as I don't see you and go gross.
Oh my God. That's
what?
Awesome. You've come so far.
No.
Wow.
Are there like, what are the grossest things you did then? Let's focus on the then, because I would assume that there's been improvement since.
I think like maybe. I always kind of, I didn't like do dishes or laundry, and like my room was always a mess. And I'd run out of quarters, and then I couldn't do laundry. And then if I like desperately needed something washed, like I'd put it in that bathtub and like stir it up with a broom, and just like pour laundry soap in there. And my roommates were just watching in horror. And then I would just like hang shit up all around my room because I didn't have money to dry it either. And like I'd just sort of leave it there for days. And like, man, yeah, just like, oh man, total mess everywhere. One of my horrible vices that I'm actually kind of proud of now is I eat Chef Boyardee ravioli like straight out of the can. So canned food straight out of the can, and then like
yeah, but you save a bowl.
The can would sit there for days.
Oh,
and rot. I don't do that anymore. But like,
okay,
I sure as hell did then.
Ugh,
yeah,
yikes.
I feel like if my roommates like come out of the corner, they'll be like, "Oh my god, she was even worse than she's admitting to." Yeah, no, I was just generally gross,
just kind of messy,
just messy and. Yeah, but the thing is, I didn't care what the hell they did. You know what I mean? Like, you could, I'm also the best roommate ever because you can't upset me. Like,
right.
I'm the gross one, so go nuts. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna get mad that you didn't do the dishes or whatever.
Yeah.
Although I did have a roommate who left a fish in our refrigerator, just sitting on a plate, like a whole fish.
Oh.
Just a fish, man. She was kind of weird. Actually, you know what? She got our TV for the apartment.
Okay.
She had,
was this in college still?
It was in college.
Okay.
She had appropriated it from a Days Inn. And it was full of roaches. Yeah. Like,
in the back
like
of...
in the TV.
Ooh.
You can fit an amazing amount of roaches in a Days Inn television.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, so, okay, I'm kind of picturing like the back of a TV has like the little slits and stuff, right, on the top.
Yeah.
Would they just crawl out?
Yeah, it was a Trojan roach horse. They would just come crawling down the screen.
Oh.
And just our apartment filled with roaches. And then she had the fish. She had this boyfriend. His name was Reggie. And he had just gotten out of prison. And like...
Oh, Reggie.
I met him in the middle of the night. He was in the kitchen, naked. I ran into him, and he was just like, "Why you don't got anything to eat this goddamn house?" And I was like, "You are naked in my kitchen right now." You know what I mean? Like, he was like 33.
Yeah. And
like,
did
man,
Reggie have a bunch of neck tattoos and stuff?
He did have tattoos.
Okay, got it.
He was a tattooed gentleman. And he was not on his best behavior. And I gotta say, if I was naked in somebody's kitchen in the middle of the night, I would be well behaved.
Exactly. The roommate with the roach TV, what's her name? We'll call her Brittany.
The chances that she'll hear this are zero.
Yeah.
But
we'll call her Brittany.
We'll call her Brittany.
How are Brittany and Reg doing now?
I do not believe that they have maintained their
Okay. Things are hard after like a jail stint, you know?
You know, it's readjusting. I get it.
Exactly. Well, Becky, this has been a pleasure. You can see yourself out.
Well,
no, we are going to shift to
God.
the shuffling part of the show.
I'm so frightened.
Do you, like, what are your... Because we aren't necessarily going to hear your favorite songs, right, during this. What are some of your musical favorites, though?
Well... Here's the thing. I'm super into music. Like,
okay.
My whole life, I've been probably more obsessed with music than I have with comedy as a listener. My thing was kind of the 90s for me were my big musical time where I was just, my whole life was just laying in front of the stereo, hitting record on a cassette tape when I hear a song that I wanted to record. I'd buy, like an Oasis album on cassette and run home and listen to it and read the liner note. Like, I mean... Oh, man. So that, mid-90s sort of alternative is definitely my core thing. But I listen to a lot of shit. Like, I watch Bollywood movies, and I listen to a lot of Indian music.
Yeah.
I listen to German rap. That's kind of my current phase right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place. Like, everything except country. I can't do country. I'm not like I don't hate somebody if they like country, but I can't.
It's just not your cup of tea.
I just can't.
Do you? So now we've moved into this whole world of streaming, and there's not necessarily like the physical disc to take home with the artists. No. Do you miss those days?
I do.
Yeah,
I do. It's nice now having Spotify and whatever else because you can think, oh, what about XYZ song, and you can just find it and grab it. But you're sort of just grabbing a song at a time, and you're not really discovering the other stuff, you know what I mean, that you would when you go in and pop in that CD or that cassette tape and
listen from beginning to end.
Oh man, and you would just lay there and listen to music. Like that was a whole activity. Now you got music in the background while you're doing something else, but like I used to just listen to music, and man, I can hear songs now that just transport me back to a particular time. Oh man,
maybe we'll hear some of those during this.
We might.
Well, let's go ahead and we're gonna plug in your Zune, your Zune player, and let's go ahead and press shuffle. Becky, you are so freaking global and internationally influenced.
I cannot believe that's the first song that came up.
What was the song?
That was called Kamali. It is a Hindi song from an Indian film.
Uh-huh.
And it's what's called an item song, which is a Bollywood thing, meaning that there's usually a girl or a guy who is like doing this like super sexy dance to this cool song, and everybody's like, wow, that's like this big hit part of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one of those songs.
Is that from a movie that you're particularly a fan of?
I did see it. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was sort of I think it was the third in a series of films sequel.
Okay.
And it featured some of the most famous actors in India. So it was a kind of a mainstream major.
Yeah,
movie.
the Brad Pitt of India.
Yeah.
Who is the Brad Pitt of India?
Man, Brad Pitt of India might just be
Brad Pitt.
I think that's probably Shah Rukh Khan.
Okay.
Who is maybe the most famous Indian actor.
Uh-huh.
He could be. He's had a real long career.
Mm-hmm.
He was not in this particular movie that this song was from, but
you have done quite a bit of travel, it seems.
I have.
From a girl from just a small hill in Alaska.
It was a pretty big hill. But yeah, no, I love to travel. Like I feel like I don't do it quite as much anymore, but man, like for a while there, that was just all I wanted to do. You know?
So you studied abroad in Europe.
I did.
And were you living with a family when you...
No, I was living in a hostel, actually.
For like months on end?
Yeah.
How was that?
That was crazy.
You must have met... So I've never stayed in a hostel.
Ooh, boy.
Am I missing out?
Oh, man, are you missing out? Yeah, because while there are certainly a wide range of hostels, the general experience is you're in a room with, maybe 10 bunk beds in it, and 9 strangers and yourself are all just from all different countries, talking all different kinds of languages, just coming and going. You don't know who these people are. You got to sleep with your valuables under your pillow. Mm-hmm. It's loud. It's exciting. There's all kinds of God knows what happening all around you. Mm-hmm. But it's affordable.
Yeah.
And for a student, who's traveling, it's kind of the way to go because you're. Yeah, I don't know if I could do that again, man, but that was a gnarly experience.
Were you in the same hostel for months on end?
I was initially, and then I kind of jumped around after I missed that flight and got stuck in town, kind of sprang from hostel to hostel.
Oh, okay.
With no money and no food, and luckily they have a sort of communal kitchen that you can kind of, I don't know, like
insert yourself into
muesli or you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
That.
Do you think that there's like a good handful of people in the world who visited that hostel in the period of time you were there and talked to their friends to this day about the girl who kept eating ravioli out of a can?
You know what? I did not have any canned ravioli while I was in Europe.
Okay.
I definitely stole somebody's muesli, like straight up stole that shit. So like, sorry. Yeah, no, I mean, I had some hostile experiences that I probably shouldn't talk about and have recorded for all of eternity.
Ooh, would love to hear maybe your most tame.
Oh, God. I don't know, man. Ugh.
Pushing it?
Whatever.
Were you a rebellious, not teen, but young adult?
Yes.
Yeah?
Very. Yeah, I was an angsty, grungy, like, grouchy, rotten, horrible teenager, just trying to get into as much trouble as I possibly could.
What is the worst? Can you talk about the worst trouble? Like the worst trouble you've gotten into that like your parents know about and that kind of thing.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I did something that got me suspended from school for 10 days. And
we've had a lot of people on this show who've been suspended from school.
Mm-hmm. I also got in a fight in which I got suspended from school, but I don't regret it because this person really had it coming.
A physical fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has Becky? Okay.
Oh God.
You don't have to answer. You don't have to answer vocally. But wink once. Has Becky Braunstein ever spent a night behind bars?
No asterisk.
Can we dive into the asterisks?
You know what? I did spend the night in a jail.
Okay.
But I was not under arrest.
Okay. Just hanging out with the cops.
Just got lost on the road in the middle of nowhere between Savannah and Atlanta and got picked up by the cops because we had to get out of the car and walk because the car had broken down, and no one came to get me for a long time. I was just there with my friend, just kind of sitting in the jail watching people coming. I mean, that's not anything.
Oh, but you're not like you're not behind bars though.
No, that doesn't count.
No, it's a waiting room.
I've always managed to evade capture.
Okay, okay, got it. Okay, well, we won't go too far in depth, but maybe you'll tell me when we're not recording.
I think my parents may have contacted Interpol at one point though, because when I was in Norway, I started a sort of a war protest peace march thing because that was when the sort of the Iraq thing was starting to kind of ramp up. And I worked together with this guy from Palestine, and everyone thought that was really interesting. We got interviewed on the national Norwegian radio. I invited the Royals.
I knew I'd heard your voice before.
I am like a famous rabble-rouser in Norway at one time. And I sort of fell out of contact with my parents, and I flipped a coin and I decided to go to Greece because YOLO, right? This was before YOLO, so it was like
you were the original YOLO.
Yeah, and like I had some friends who were there from Greece, and I was like, man, I want to go see Greece, and I thought I'm just gonna change my flight and go do that, and like didn't stay in super good contact with my parents, and they freaked out.
Oh yeah, well that makes sense.
I guess. I mean, I did call them and leave messages, which I still maintain to this day, but they swear they didn't get them. And yeah, now I get strip searched every time I go to the airport. So thanks, Mom and Dad.
Really?
I mean,
so you have to go to a private room.
No, I just mean like they like whenever it's like, oh, you gotta get pat down and like you're about to get grabbed, like that happens to me like every time. So
okay.
It's not random at all. Like
got it.
I can feel it.
Okay. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and.
Jesus, this is crazy.
I know. Is this what you expected to talk about?
No, not at all. You are just scouring stuff out of the dark recesses of my history, and it's awesome.
Good. I'm glad
You're
that
an excellent journalist, sir.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. I'm glad that we're going dark but not too dark. I don't want anyone to leave in tears.
Yeah, no, I do have that effect sometimes, but I'm trying to resist.
Let's go ahead and press shuffle again.
Oh my god.
Find out what else comes up.
Ooh.
Becky, that was, let me go into the dark recesses of my mind.
Ooh.
That was the Donnas, correct?
That was the Donnas.
Ooh, good. I'm glad I got it correct.
Yeah.
But what's the name of the song?
It's called I Don't Want to Know If You Don't Want Me.
Got it. Thoughts on the song?
So I actually saw the Donnas in concert in Alaska at the State Fair. It was crazy. The State Fair is kind of the only thing that happens in Alaska, and everyone goes to it, and you run into all the people you know, and it is the event of the year.
Yeah.
And
rides, produce contests, all that kind of stuff.
Food of every sort imaginable. Wacky hair thing. I mean, it's like we really get into the fair. It's all we got, man.
Yeah.
It's all we got.
You got to cling on to those things.
You do.
Yeah.
It is all you got. One, like, we don't get the greatest concerts up there, man. Like, we never get good bands, like, you know, artists that are big at the time don't ever come to Alaska. Ever, ever. And at the fair, you'll get, like, a random assortment of, like, you never know what. And I actually had just kind of gotten into the Donnas at the time that they came up, and I was like, son of a bitch, they're coming to the fair, oh my God. So I definitely went to go see them. And it was just at this really small stage that's, like, just kind of out on you're just kind of on a hill. And it's so small. I mean, like, you could fit almost everybody who was there in this apartment. But they did a great show, and I was like, man, that's awesome. Like, rock and roll, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It was just a real good show. It was so small, and it was great. Like, I didn't feel like I was getting trampled or anything. Like, it was just the best concert experience
you've ever had.
Yeah.
Do the Donnas have a particular connection to Alaska, or was this just kind of out of the goodness of their heart? They got it.
I don't know why they came up.
Yeah,
I mean, it was totally random.
That song was the theme song to the show that I used to watch.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, on
really?
like Nickelodeon had like Teen Nick for a while, and they had a really good plethora of like original programming. And the best way to describe this show was like the teen version of the L Word.
Oh my God.
It was like all these like teenage girls at this LA high school who were like exploring their sexuality. And it was excellent programming. It truly was like a super diverse teen cast. It was really well done. And this was a theme song.
A teen show theme song. I feel so cool right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was not aware of that.
You also kind of have like a Donna's look about you, don't you?
Oh my God, that's the greatest compliment I've ever received in my whole life.
But you do, right? It's like kind of fun, like fun, punky a little bit.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
That actually, they sort of inspired me at that time. When I saw them in concert, I thought, oh my God, like, they got the big hair and like, you know, like sort of rock and roll sort of thing. And I was like, oh my God, like girls on stage with like rock and roll scenario, like that could totally be me. So I got into comedy.
Here you go.
Which is, you know, rock and roll adjacent.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we got Russell Brand. He's a legit rock and roll guy who's a comedian. One of my heroes and inspirations.
Yeah.
Hi, Russell. I know you're listening, right? It was so cool when I saw you in Portland that one time. We didn't even meet. Yeah, man, rock and roll, dude. Totally.
Yeah. Are the Donnas still around?
I hope so. I believe they probably are.
Okay. Got it. So let's talk your stand-up a little bit.
Okay.
You were, I think it's worthwhile mentioning, you were a nominee for Willamette Week's Best Comedian.
I was.
2015.
2016.
2016? Do you have my years off?
It was this year. I mean, yeah. So
okay. Oh, they
like
weren't
halfway through the year.
They
though,
weren't
so
doing like a look back.
I don't know.
Got it.
Yeah, like this was just.
Regardless, it was like a couple weeks ago.
Pretty much, yeah.
You didn't take the top spot.
I did not. I got smoked, but it's okay because the people who got the top few spots were super good.
Also very deserving.
Totes.
And like 6 years, is that sort of relatively new to the Portland scene, or what's sort of like the lifespan of?
The thing is, while I've lived here for 6 years, I haven't been performing for 6 years. Here. I've only been active in the Portland comedy scene for about 3 years now.
Okay.
So that's a moderate amount of time. I'm getting there, but I'm definitely not quite the household name of the scene. I think quite. I mean, I don't know. That's a thing to evaluate about
you filled up this arena that we're interviewing at.
Standing room only.
So maybe if someone's listening, we've had a few different stand-up comedians on the show, and I don't think we've ever really gotten into like when someone is starting out. What does that look like? Like, what does it look like setting up your very first set or open mic? Or do you contact someone? Do you say, here's a recording of me for 5 minutes? What does it look like?
Ooh, I think it looks different for everybody, honestly, because I know for me, like, I had written material for a long time that I never performed, that I was sort of banking, and then a lot of it was garbage. So I'm kind of glad that I didn't just run right out there and start doing open mics. I did stand up for the first time in college, but then I didn't do it again for a very long time afterwards. And it was really more of a monologue that I did. And even now my stuff is more kind of monologue-ish.
Like story
It's kind of theatrical.
based.
It's kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, a lot of people will just say, fuck it, I'm getting out there, and they'll go to an open mic and be like, here I am, world, you know, and others will not jump out quite so quickly. But, I don't think there's necessarily a rule as to, like, what you're supposed to do to start out. You can take classes. I mean, they're beneficial for some people, not for others. I mean...
Probably depends on how you learn and how you pick up a skill. I don't want you to drop names. I don't want you to say anything you might regret. But a green room, as you're all waiting to go up on stage in the Portland area.
Yes.
Well, and you don't just perform in Portland. You perform in other places too. So just in general, a green room of comedians, 5 or 6 people. I'm going to assume usually like mostly men and 1 or 2 women. What's the vibe like? Competitive? Or is it super supportive? Or is it just really depending on who's there?
It is absolutely depending on who's there. It's depending on where we are. It's depending on the kind of show. I've never been in a green room scenario where everybody was just hating each other. Or like it was just really bad, intense. I mean, I've never seen people fight in the green room. But, you know, if you're in a competition... You'll have, I mean, half the people will be pacing and sweating and shaking. The other half will be sort of like looking at each other like, you know, what is
sizing
this person going to do?
What
am I going to do? Yeah, I mean, there'll be 1 or 2 people who pretend like they're not nervous and they don't give a shit, but they totally do.
Yeah.
It's an odd dynamic, and I think what happens is like the personality type of a comedian tends to be one of sort of you're pretending that you're this sort of outgoing, very social, very at ease, comfortable, in charge person, but a lot of the times we're not really. So then you put us around each other, and it's just like a constant series of misunderstandings that a lot of the times leads to laughter and friendship, but sometimes leads to like tension and fear.
Yeah,
but I think really like we've just kind of create that for ourselves, and it's not real. You know, we just want to be loved, and we just want to do a good job at comedy for the most part.
You've performed in Portland, and I kind of in like in the Pacific Northwest and Alaska. Have you performed in like Los Angeles or some big differences between the scenes and not the scene, but the kind of attitude of the audience and the different performers?
Yeah, absolutely. I performed in Los Angeles a couple of years ago, and I kind of just did like some kind of open mics here and there because I didn't really know a lot of people yet. But there were so many more comedians. The shows were, I think, better attended, but also a much wider variety. I think there wasn't quite the comedy scene happening there the way it was in Portland because it's like the entertainment capital of the world. I mean, everything is, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like a carved out niche.
Yeah, and probably within that entertainment niche, comedy's actually probably like lower on the. It's not the top spot,
probably.
Right?
I mean, I really enjoyed it. Like, I really liked performing in LA. I connected with some people that were pretty cool. I mean, it's kind of more every man for himself out there, I think, because you got people coming from all over the place. But I really liked it. I had a good time. I thought it went well.
Yeah.
I also recently did a comedy festival in New York, and I like the material that you would do in Portland is probably not the same stuff you should do in other places.
Okay.
And
why is that?
I don't know. I think Portland as a city has a specific kind of character and taste. And like, for example, when I went to New York, we were performing kind of upstate, like kind of out in the, you know, not in a big city or anything.
Yeah.
And I did kind of my best stuff that would just kills in Portland, you know, that people just love, like my best stuff. And they were just kind of like, oh, I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, God, this is not the same thing. I switched it up and did some stuff that I thought they might more be into, and it completely worked. It was just the most obvious thing in the world. It's the same thing in Alaska.
Yeah.
The Alaskan comedy audience, what little there is of it, I mean, they definitely do not like the same stuff that we do here in Portland.
Interesting. Do you find that
different.
Like Portland has a more progressive taste or more conservative, or?
Portland is definitely more progressive, much more, I don't want to say sensitive because that sounds like a bad thing, but they're much more attuned to like
if you're, I know what you're trying to say. If there's anything that would be offensive within the content, not even to the audience present, they're going to call you on it.
Very attuned to things that are potentially offensive, which I think for the most part is a very good thing, because for so long it has just been yuck. And now we're finally, we've got, So the only thing that makes that kind of a sticky issue is like when I go home to Alaska, then I have to throw out almost my whole set because they want just the most edgy, raw, not politically correct type stuff up there, and it's completely opposite from Portland. But like I'm so glad that I've been doing comedy here in Portland, because you learn to write better. You learn to think about your audience, and you learn to I mean, there's so many comedians that maybe had they, grown up in another scene would have done sexist, racist garbage because they thought that's what their audience wanted, that are now saying, like,
oh, interesting.
I don't need to be a jerk to make people laugh. You know what I mean? So I think that kind of progressive nature of the Portland audience is good for a comedian in terms of writing to make people feel better and not worse.
It's a challenge, but it's a challenge that pushes you to like kind of a higher level or a higher degree of quality. Yeah,
for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead. Do you have a couple more minutes?
Yeah, dude. Totally.
Okay, cool. I want to shuffle through at least a couple more songs with you. Let's find out what else is on the music player here.
Totally random.
Did you know that there are people in the world annoyed with all the other people in the world? And of all these angry people in the world, I am the angriest boy. Now I spat onto the earth in a stream of guts by Mother Nature, that green-eyed slut. I wasn't the first to get forced from a cut, one to whom I still shall stay stuck. Staring from the cradle, let my eyes take in the baby speak of my brain-dead kin. The goo-goo goggles reflecting the grin of a chub-faced alien. Well, if you think I'm being harsh, well, baby, keep on counting stars. 'Cause I hate everyone. I hate everyone. I hate everyone upon this cursed earth. Then I grew a few hairs where the sun don't shine. In a classroom to count.
Becky, that was a very well, that was an angry song, but with a happy beat, which I liked.
Absolutely. Great description.
Tell us about the song. Who sings that? Its connection to you, etc.
That is a song called Hate Everyone. It is by a band called Say Anything, who I would probably credit as my second favorite band.
Ooh.
Perhaps.
Okay. Behind?
Weezer.
Oh, okay. Just curious. Okay.
But like deep cut Weezer, not like radio Weezer. You know what I mean? I'm not talking like Island.
Not
of the Sun.
Beverly Hills.
I'm talking,
Okay.
Devotion.
Got it. Okay, but this song.
This song is by Say Anything, which is a, how would I describe them? Punk-ish, rock-ish, indie-ish band who, their lead singer is a guy called Max Bemis, who is, I think, one of the best lyrics writers ever. This song intro that we listened to, probably not the best example of his lyrical genius.
Okay.
Maybe not the best example.
Will trust you.
But trust me.
Yeah.
He's an inspiration to me. I just powerful music that makes you sort of feel something, but it's also like just like really nice to listen to. Very sort of eclectic. It's intelligent. It's very verbal, and I think there might be some parallels between. I don't know. Never mind. That sounds douchey, but I mean, like maybe there's a parallel between him and I. As writers,
the two of you have a lot in common.
Hi, Max. I saw them in Portland for the first time like 2 years ago or something, and it was like in July, and it was at the like the Hawthorne Theater maybe. It was such a hot box in there. I thought I was gonna die. It was like so hot, and people were just sweating and like and they were like, "God, we can't believe you guys are still here!" Like, and they were throwing water on us because we were just like dying in the heat. Man, it was just like awful experience, but I was so excited to see them.
Now the lyrics of the song, I hate everyone.
Sure, yeah.
There have to be times where you leave a stand-up set and you think, I hated every one of those people in the audience.
Wow. I tend not to do that because I think I'm more inwardly destructive than outwardly. I'll hate myself.
Okay. Okay.
You know what? Probably the worst set I've ever had in my life was I performed at a place in Portland called The Analog.
Oh, I'm familiar with The Analog.
Yeah.
That's what are your thoughts on The Analog?
You know what? what? I had only performed there a couple of times, but it was just this one time that was real bad. And I coincidentally, I was off my medication to prepare for radiation, so that could potentially be a little bit of an excuse here because, you know, my brain was really run down, my body was run down. I was not at my best, you know. But I went up there and did my set, and literally no one laughed. I promise you, it was dead silence from start to finish. I just walked off the stage. I was just shaking. Like, I almost cried because I just was feeling so shitty.
And you had to be up there for 5-7 minutes?
At least 10. That was at least a 10-minute set. And
wow.
I was recording somebody else's set, so I had to stick around.
Yeah.
And man, it was just silence. Just total silence. Not even a nobody coughed. It was just complete silence. It was a total nightmare.
Wow.
But yeah, when that happens, which doesn't happen often, I must say. No, I have bad. Everybody has bad sets.
Yeah.
But I'll just, man, I don't think, oh, that audience sucked. I think I sucked. You know, garbage. It's terrible. But then I'll do the same set and it'll kill someone else.
So yeah. All right. Have your parents come to a show yet?
They have.
They have?
Yeah.
Do they like this?
They've been watching me perform for a long time. They went to my school plays and they went to my improv shows, and so they don't necessarily just watch me and laugh. They're sort of watching everybody else to make sure they're laughing, and they're sort of worried for me, and they're thinking, and they'll give me notes afterwards, be like, you know what you should do,
yeah.
It's all very strange, but they're supportive. They're proud of me, which is unusual, I think, for a comedian.
Do you do you consider the other members of your family funny as well? Do you come from a funny family?
My mom is hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
She is absolutely my number one comedy inspiration. I sometimes hear her voice coming out of me when I'm doing a joke.
Really?
She would tell these stories and she just sounds funny and she's just I don't know, man. She's super funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dad? Well, he's there. Well, he is there at the shows.
No, he's very supportive.
Okay.
No, he's, you know what I mean. He appreciates.
He appreciates a good laugh.
Sure. He's not a joker, but he's got a good sense of humor. You know, he's down to laugh.
Exactly. Well, let's go ahead and press shuffle again.
Ooh, okay.
We've had a bit of an eclectic mix from you so far.
I know, it's all over. See, this is very representative of my
just
entire
what's
life.
going on up there.
All over the map.
Yeah.
Totally wild.
Let's go ahead and press shuffle again.
Right.
Becky, I liked that one. I couldn't understand a word he was saying. I liked the music of it, but I can't review the lyrics.
It was very poetic and angsty, so, you know. A lot of that was Smashing Pumpkins, of course.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Oh, really?
I know the Smashing Pumpkins. I have never followed.
Really?
No.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Smashing Pumpkins, and what was the name of the song?
That is called "Here Is No Why."
Is it
which doesn't even? It's a lot of their stuff is kind of non sequitur, very poetic, sort of lyrically, but you know.
Okay.
It was from "Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness," which is one of the great albums of the '90s.
Oh,
which
okay.
I had on box set. Oh yeah, baby.
Yes. What was the first? What was the first cassette that you bought?
Oh God, I don't even remember. That would have been so long ago. I got into music at a really young age.
Oh,
so,
okay.
I must have been like 6 or 7.
Oh, okay. Got it.
I owned probably over 200 Walkmans and Discmans, and
Really?
I was just I would use them and wear them out, and they'd break, and the headphones would crumble, and like I'd always have these like shitty wire headphones that were like taped together, and like I'd have one thing left that you had to hold up to your ear the whole time.
Oh,
stay on your head.
You paint such like a sweet picture of you as a
It
child.
was glorious.
Well, sweet and also like kind of. I wish someone would have bought you a better set of headphones.
No, but my parents kept buying me. I was a teenager. That's what happened.
Just
Everybody
you were constantly
had these,
glued.
like,
Yeah.
That's just how it went, man.
Huh.
I'd have to walk around with a huge case of CDs
Mhm.
and a huge thing of batteries.
Yeah.
And I'd have my Discman and my headphones that were taped together.
Yeah.
You know, and like maybe you'd have your Walkman too, and then a bunch of. Oh my God! Like you had to. Now you got all this fits right in your pocket on a phone. Like,
I
holy
know.
shit, man.
We've talked a bit about where you've come from.
Yeah.
We'll talk a little bit about where you're going.
Ooh.
I know.
That's heavy.
Now we're going to get deep.
Yeah.
But first, will you tell, like, anyone who's listening, will you tell them where to find you? Like online presence?
I do have
I don't
an
mean like a
online
physical
presence.
address.
Make a right at my website is BeckyBraunstein.com.
Mm-hmm.
That's BeckyBraunstein.com.
Uh-huh.
Ouch. I also have a Twitter account, which is Becky from Alaska, because Becky Braunstein was taken, and I'm still mad about that. I'm on Instagram, and that is Becky Braunstein. It's all very confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Facebook, of course, Becky Braunstein. I think I'm, like, it's me, Becky Braunstein, and then there's another Becky Braunstein in, like, Pennsylvania, who's
Also
like a legislative aide or something.
Oh, okay.
Has ruined my life, because I feel like people are just following her and, like, hitting her up, thinking it's me. Judd
Yeah.
Apatow has called her.
You
and
think
he's
so?
like, Becky Braunstein, holy shit, I'm ready to produce your project. And she's just like, I'm a legislative aide. Go to hell. She's ruined me. Becky, if you're listening, I hate you. No, I don't know. She's probably a lovely lady.
What would a Judd Apatow produced Becky Braunstein? And I'm asking because I'm asking what's next, and I feel like this could be.
I'm dreaming with
This
my
could
eyes
be
open.
not like 2 years from now. I think like 10 years from now.
Ooh.
But I see it.
Ugh.
I see it.
Let's hope less than 10.
8.
3.
Okay. We'll compromise. We'll do 3. Like TV show, movie. What are you thinking?
Please.
Yeah.
I would love to have a TV show. I would love to write. I would like to create my own show.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to host a late night show eventually. If I
Mm-hmm.
could take over for James Corden, that would be so
Oh, he's great, isn't he?
cool. Oh, I love him. Oh my God, yeah. And I think I would be the natural choice to be a successor.
Carpool karaoke. You feel
yeah.
like you would be up for that?
I'm not a great driver. I'm a little skeezed about driving in traffic, but
Okay.
man, I can sing in the car with anybody.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean that would be like way down the line. I don't want to like just jump right into that. That's frightening. But yeah, no, if I could like have my own show, if I could like make some movies, I don't know. I kind of want to be like this hybrid of like Lena Dunham and like Seth Rogen and like James Corden and everyone else.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
All
Those
of my heroes kind of put together.
Those are very cool people to put together.
Are they? I feel like a lot of people would say those people are way too like mainstream and sell out and like not hip to sort of.
I think that those are your. I mean, the idea of someone selling out. If someone is going to pursue their art as their full time, there's going to have to be some degree of quote selling out if they want to make money and support themselves.
I mean, yeah, you don't got to tell me, man. Like, regardless of what you think about those people, they're doing what I want to do.
Right.
So I respect.
Yeah, I think they're your, like, within, I do think you're right. They're, like, mainstream, or whoever told you that. They're right.
No, I'm mainstream. I'm so mainstream.
Yeah.
If you listen to my comedy, it's not edgy. It's not alternative. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very, I don't know.
But
Maybe not, though.
But I think that those figures can tap into kind of, like, an audience that maybe wouldn't follow to, like, your typical big budget comedy.
Sure.
But with Seth Rogen or Judd Apatow or Lena Dunham, that could be the case.
Oh, God. Yeah.
I see it for you, Becky.
Do you? Thanks, man. That's real cool. I mean, I feel like I've had such a weird life, and I'm, like, just crazy enough to, like, maybe get there, you know?
Do you write? Like, would you write? Memoir seems too dark, as if you're, like...
Like a book.
Yeah.
if I had the focus to like sit down and follow through on a book, man, I would have written probably 5 by now.
Okay.
Like, I feel like I've had so many weird experiences that just should maybe be told. I mean, we've just chatted for like 20 minutes here about some of the weirder things that.
Yeah.
But like, there's still more weirdness out there. I don't know. Yeah, like sure.
Well, and there's the weirdness of the stories you wouldn't tell. Too hot for shuffle.
Too hot for shuffle.
That's going to be the name of this episode. Too hot for shuffle podcast.
Too hot for shuffle.
Yeah. Maybe. Ooh, you know what? Maybe I'll have you back on for like a late night version of Shuffle Podcast where you tell these kind of darker stories.
Totally. But it only stays up for like a short time and then you delete it forever.
Yeah, it's only available to listen to between the hours of 12 and 1 a.m.
Shuffle scenario. Yeah, totally.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, dude. This has been so fun.
Did you have a good time?
Totally.
Okay, like on a scale of 1 to 10.
Like 25.
Thank you. That's all I want to hear.
Straight up killing it, dude.
Well, we are going to shuffle one more time.
Oh my god.
And so if people if people want to check you out, BeckyBraunstein.com.
Yep.
You do a lot of shows, not just in Portland, but any, like, I know it's kind of a ways out, but anything big coming up, festivals or anything you're participating
I'm
in?
performing at Pickathon next week.
Okay.
Which by the time you people are listening to this will have already happened. So
Yes.
guess what? I performed at Pickathon. Ooh,
Excellent.
boy. Yeah, I've got some stuff coming up that's going to be exciting.
Okay.
A lot of shows. Calendar on my website,
Exactly.
BeckyBraunstein.com.
It's the place to go.
Keep in touch. Let's high five after the show or what. I don't know.
Especially if your name is Judd Apatow.
Yeah, Judd. Seriously, dude.
So let's go ahead and press shuffle one more time. Becky, thank you so much. This is it.
This is the headliner song. Like, this has to sum up my whole life right now. Or
if it doesn't, we need to do it again.
Okay.